The first one is just a read only. We were talking about it. If you have not seen it, Craig sent out a message in the company FYI channel to go sign up for some swag. Give away your shoe size. We'll see what comes of it. The next one up is for Matt. I just made it a standing item. But.
Yeah, no, perfect. So yeah, I updated the status in the Epic as well. So you can, if you're ever curious, you can follow along there. But we're making good progress. There's only 2 infra-dev issues left. An N+1 error that we made some fixes for and looking for. There's another edge case that we have to look for. And then a caching one that is all deployed. Now we're just working on rolling out the feature flags. That was deployed to dev and staging yesterday. We're checking on the test results, and then we'll slowly roll it out to specific GitLab projects this week probably. So that's infra dev, and then our error budget keeps going up, which is great, improving. So we're currently at 99.84% available. We're shooting for 99.95, I think is the target. Yeah. So we've been making a couple small changes. The caching sometimes helps, but we found the caching really helps with like average timings and response rates. But if people hit a cache that is cold and it hasn't been hit yet before, then we could still potentially get higher times, which count against our error budget. So we're looking at a few other things. But then also there was a change last week or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, to change the threshold a little bit. So it's instead of the limit of 1 second, it went up to 5 seconds. So that's rolling out over the course of 28 days. We're about halfway through that. But as that keeps rolling out, our number will keep getting up because most of our requests are, the requests that were failing were between that 1 second and 5 second rate. I don't think we have very many that are worse than 5 seconds. So that's good.
On that, Matt, I guess the plan is to soon bring that back again to 1 second, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think that was a step. And then I think the real plan is have kind of per endpoint configuration. So you can, if we have try to get most of them back to 1 second if we can. But if there's some that we know will always take longer, and that's kind of by design or something, we can configure that and tweak it a little bit. My suspicion is we'll get up to, so everyone can have that 99.5 or be closer to that, and then we'll start ratcheting it down a little bit, and so then we can see where the impact of that is.
Makes sense. Thanks.
And Kai, you had a question?
Yeah, as part of the error budget stuff, have we made sure that everything that's being attributed to our group is actually our group? I know they sort of like broadly categorized based on controllers and sort of best guesses, but have we like done the detail work to make sure all of that is ours?
That is an excellent question. We haven't done that. The ones I've looked at least the top offenders are related to us. So that's the ones we've been focused on. I can pull up the list of all of them. It takes a while to load. Maybe I can. But I can look and just verify. But most of them are ones that are pretty clear. At least the worst ones are pretty clearly the code review team.
Yeah, I thought it might be good. I know I've lately seen, and I think this is because of the way like Italy and the Rails stuff talk. There's been a few issues lately that are open via Sentry that are initially tagged us, but are actually like Italy problems because Italy is too slow to do anything, which I think then results in like a cascade where like we error on our controller because we didn't get something back from Italy.
Sure. Yep.
Fast enough. And so it may be good to make sure that we're like clear that the failures that we are have like downstream on all of them, just like let's make sure that one, all those everything that's being attributed to us is us, and two, that we could actually impact it, and it's not like we're beholden to Giddily as a service responding in a fast enough time manner, because that's sort of like out of our control. And so it'd be good just to make sure that and we don't need to do that immediately. I know like part of engineering allocation is addressing sort of immediate concerns, but over the course of the quarter, I think error budgets were a concern anyway. So it might be good to make sure that we're able to tell that story better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can pretty easily at least get the list of all the things that are contributing to our error budget. And then we can review that and make sure that they're all really ours. So I'll pull that list together. That should be pretty easy to do. I can report back.
Yeah, I just wanted to say on that example, I was thinking that while we can shift the focus for the Giddily operation that might be taking longer, at the end of the day, from our side on the Rails, we could totally leverage caching so that not as many requests go over the budget. So in the sense, it's a shared responsibility. Might be definitely worth to draw a flame graph of the operations to see where exactly lies the delay there on certain cases. But great point, Kai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we have been, some of the caching we've been doing, I think we've done some specific for Giddily, but yeah, it helps to have fewer requests, but we still, the requests that aren't hitting the cache is an area we need to focus on, because that first initial one, if that's really taking long, that's still going to affect our error budget. It might only get called one time and then it'll be cached, so we'll be okay. But if we can reduce that initial one as well, that will help. Okay. I think that's it for that topic. Kai?
Yeah, I think the only other one would be my other question I'm going to ask you is, like, do you see an ETA for when we come out of engineering allocation?
Yeah. Yeah, feel free to continue asking that every week. That's fine. I've been, so Darva's been out a couple days this week. I was planning to talk to her and really try to figure this out, because yeah, if we, I did ask her that, but she hasn't been back yet to respond. But it's been, yeah, if we're done with our error or our infradev issues, which possibly could be, this week or next week, and our error budgets keep going up, then maybe we don't need to be 100% allocated, or yeah, that would be the goal. And I'll keep trying to dig on that. I know I said that last week, but I'm working on it. But I'll keep on it. And yeah, in the meantime, we're slowly starting to work on some of the kind of the mergeability stuff as well, kind of because that's it's not technically related to engineering allocation, but it was something that we knew we had planned to do anyway. So get the first parts of that, like we had to do a database table, so that is underway. So kind of get a little bit of that work done to prepare for when we come out of this.
I think that makes sense. Just worth checking in on.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one up on the agenda, I had a conversation with Pedro and Annabelle yesterday about the strategy and vision work that PMs and Create are undertaking during Q3. I think Matt and Andre, you've both been tagged on the issues probably, but you can check the questions there that Pedro asked and watch the review from yesterday if you've got more questions, or if you've got any questions now, I can answer those. But the meeting for PMs to sort of like go over all of the inputs is a week from today. So next week. So if you want to contribute to that, just do it before next week. I think we're going to discuss it synchronously next week in the UX meeting. So if you're interested in that, then you can also try and join that meeting as well.
Yeah, we can mostly skip over this next topic for the mid-milestone check-in. I just put it in here with the for the reference for everyone to see kind of where we are from the back-end team on the deliverables. Now, this was kind of a weird milestone because it was mostly focused on engineering allocation, which we did mark those issues as deliverable things. So that's where most of those are coming from. But just to be consistent, I wanted to make sure to put that in there.
While we're on that topic, I haven't done the front end yet. I can do that asynchronously just to provide that. Kai, more for you. Have you been getting useful feedback from the status updates, like the weekly status updates from the ICs on the issue? Is that working well? Is the mids milestone still worth continuing doing? What's the thoughts there? I'm happy to continue doing. I just forgot that today was the half of the milestone, honestly speaking.
This will be bad. The front end does a really good job of doing the status updates. I think the back end does not. Yes, to me, and one of the reasons when we brought the status update here was it is valuable because it's a good way for me to see. It makes it easy for me to just know what's going on, which is nice. I think it's a way for like other people to know what's going on as well, because that happens in the planning issue that sort of everyone is at some point involved in. There are times when like someone mentions an issue and you'll see me comment on it or go find that issue and go look at it. And so for me, it's helpful from that regard. The mid-milestone check-in, I think, is sort of less helpful in the sense that it's
redundant.
It is a good like indicator of where we are, but I think we normally sort of recognize those problems in advance, and so and then we always come down to the wire, and it's like what shipped, what didn't ship, like where did we actually end up, like I think that part gets weird. So I'm okay if we stop doing mid-milestone check-ins. I would like to see more participation in the weekly status stuff, but that's that's a thing that we just have to figure out if that's working for other people.
Yeah, it could be an engineering allocation and infra dev work. It's a little less easy to just post the status update as it is with the front end work. So I empathize with that, but okay, that works for me. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, I could try to drive up a little more engagement from the backend side. I'll bring it up to everyone because I think that's fine. The mid-milestone check-in is not hard to do, so I'm fine doing it. But if it's not valuable, then I won't spend the couple minutes it takes.
I wouldn't put it that way. Just feels a little. It is valuable, but it's also redundant.
Yeah,
it's more that way.
Ideally, this would be. We should be able to just see this information on demand and not have to report it here.
Have a dashboard, SciSense dashboard.
Yeah,
feels like a challenge. Okay, we'll think about it.
Yeah, maybe that would be a better way to do that, just so we can track the progress
before we drop it completely.
Yeah.
Okay, you have editor access, Matt?
Yeah, SciSense.
Okay, we can collaborate on it and try to see if we can make it still available, but without having a strict ceremony thing that every time in the middle of the month we show it, just make it everywhere available all the time with some filters and stuff. So
yeah, sounds great.
Right, Pedro.
Hey, sorry. So yeah, I have a question about the prioritization session, just to make sure that we all feel comfortable about running it for the next milestone, 14.4. If we focus the session and bring issues that we believe are only that only need front end work, would that be valuable for everyone?
I can vocalize why my perspective on it is that I don't think it's worth considering or doing it for the backend because they're already exhausted on capacity. From our side, we also have work to pick up, but I feel like we have a little bit more gaps to fill. And if we have some, low-hanging fruit that we could just hammer it out and just push it out in the middle of the epic work that we're doing for the merge request merge widget, we totally should. But some of them might be invisible to us. So having this collective gathering of ideas could be productive from our end to identify good stuff to ship. But if we do, is it doable to do it just ideas that might be requiring front end? If they don't, we can always like readjust, but coming up with them with that criteria in mind.
I think so. And it might also be like if we find an issue that for some reason we believe also needs backend, it could also, if it's really important and if it's really impactful, we might be able to come up with a way to split it and change how we approach it so that it's more
Sure.
on the front end than anything else. Cool. Kai, sounds like you agree.
Yeah, I'm on board trying it with front end only. I think given what we saw in 14.3, front end was not as impacted by allocation or not at all impacted. And so there is definitely some room there to do some better planning for front end.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. I'll send the invite and prepare everything, mentioning that try to bring only front end issues. Thank you. Matt, I don't know if you want to leave a comment about this. If not, we can move to the next point.
No, I can still attend, but yeah, you're right that I think the backend is probably full for at least the next milestone, regardless of the engineering allocation. If we're out of that by then, I think we have, all the stuff that's been building up since then to get back to, and then all the mergeability work. So, but yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. And also, I wanted to thank you for all of the work that you've been doing in organizing everything for us and how we work through this engineering allocation. So thank you for that. All
right, and then the last thing, unless someone else has something, is just a reminder that Create Team Day is coming up in a couple weeks. Everyone is invited. Hopefully everyone can attend at least one session. If you have ideas for things you want to do during that time, there's the link to the issue. And then that's just to kind of brainstorm ideas, and then we'll kind of narrow it down a little bit closer to the date. And Andre wants to play Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
It's very typical of me because I was never big into Pokemon, but they now have a game to spin within League of Legends, and I'm like, all right, I'll bite. So yeah, propose your activity is going to be fun. Thanks, Matt.
All right, does anyone else have anything?
All right. Well, then everyone enjoy the rest of your week and have a good one.